Hello everyone and welcome to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Supergirl Season 4 Episode 22, otherwise known as the season finale, otherwise entitled The Quest for Peace. And if you have not seen this episode, make sure you go and do so before proceeding with this review, as it will be filled with spoilers. So we had Arrow and Flash's finales this week, now we have Supergirl and Legends is this week, and I want to thank you guys for sticking with me throughout all the reviews for Supergirl this year, and make sure you stick around and subscribe for next year, as we'll be moving straight in to Supergirl Season 5 videos after this one, so make sure you stick around and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more uploads coming from me for the rest of the year and for the following season. Also, I'd just like to mention that I will be attending London MCM Comic Con this weekend, of course in London at the NXL Arena, so if you're going to be attending that event, make sure you look out for me, and if you see me, make sure you come up and say hi. It'd be awesome to meet some of you guys. If you are attending MCM, there's going to be some awesome events there, like Stephen Amell, David Ramsey, and Emily Bett Ricard's going to be there, so it's going to be an awesome event. I'm going to be teaming up with Dan and also Ben, the DC TV show, to do some awesome stuff, so make sure you stick around to the channel for that as well. So this opened up incredibly well. We got an awesome opening with Lex using the wonderful song that is My Way by Frank Sinatra, and we had him inside of his LexCorp suit that we're typically used to seeing, and he goes around and sets out this, to take down all these weapons that are attacking the US that he of course launched, and obviously it makes him look like he's the one who saved the US essentially, and he becomes like the hero of the US. Great opening. Jon Cryer, obviously this is the return of Jon Cryer. We haven't had him for a couple of weeks, but he's back now for the season finale. He's fantastic once again in this episode. I can't say this enough about Jon Cryer, but he has completely blew my expectations out of the water with his performance as Lex this season, and seeing him once again in this, just having so much fun. And because this Lex is a lot more campy than what I would typically expect from him, I think it just works really well for this particular version of Lex to have him singing while he's causing all this destruction. I think it was awesome to watch, and again, Jon Cryer nailed it. Now, just having Lex kind of in the White House is just a great idea, especially when you have Lena and Lillian there as well. It was just a really nice dynamic to have the Luthers in the White House, and seeing them all there interacting just all at each other's throats, I thought was a great little dynamic as well. Now, Nia and J'onn are, of course, trapped inside of that island that we saw them in last week, with Brainy as well. And this is where we kind of have the moment where, Nia and J'onn kind of figure out that they kind of have to take out this weapon that is going to destroy Krypton. Well, it's going to destroy Argo, sorry, which, of course, is like the little remnant city of Krypton. And Superman is currently on there, obviously, at the end of the Elseworlds crossover. That's where Superman currently is. And this is Lex's plan all along. He wanted to get into the White House so he could get access to this satellite weapon to destroy Argo, to ultimately destroy Superman. So he's still obsessed with Superman. He's still there trying to take him out. And obviously this is where it comes down to, and J'onn realizes a way to try and fix the situation, while Brainy is, Brainy's trying to stop them from doing that, because Brainy's kind of in his evil mode right now. But this is where we do have Brainy get his revelation moment, where we get to see him basically, click back into gear, and he realizes that this is not right, and actually what you're doing is fine. Keep doing it and it will work. And it was all good. And he got to say I love you to Nia as well, which was a nice little moment. We've kind of been building that all season, so to get to that was nice. And again, I think Jesse Rath really sold it. Jesse Rath has been great this season ever since he was upgraded to a series regular. I think he's been doing great work, especially just, his character is really dynamic, and especially in the last couple of episodes, we've really got to see him really kind of, diversify his performance even more so. I think it really proves that this guy's a great actor, and I hope he sticks around for season 5, because he's a really great character. I was a little bit unsure going into this season if he would be a suitable replacement for Winn, but after this season, I think Brainy has really proved himself as being a core member of Team Supergirl. So we do finally have a Kara versus Lex fight in this episode, and that was really cool. It was great having Kara there. Obviously, Lex kind of had these kryptonite weapons that he was using, but Kara got to wear that suit that we had earlier on in the season, and I was very negative and very critical on the suit that Kara wears very early on in the season, because it was so obvious as to why that suit was there. It wasn't there for any particular story reason. It was there because Melissa Benoist was not there when they filmed those particular episodes, so they had, a stunt double under the suit. But for this particular episode, actually having the suit there actually served a story purpose, and I liked it a lot more. And I think they changed it a little bit as well. It looked more versatile, it looked more tactile, it didn't look as tacky as it did in the earlier part of the season, so I think that this fight, having Kara in the suit was really cool. And of course, we do have Red Daughter eventually take a bullet for Supergirl as well, like a kryptonite bullet. And this leads to kind of what I interpreted it as was Kara taking in Red Daughter's like powers, because she kind of absorbs this energy from Red Daughter and then seems to be 10 times more powerful than she was, and we get to see like Ultra Supergirl, which was a really cool moment as well. I wonder if she's like infinitely more powerful now. Like in next season, is she going to stay at this power level, or is she going to kind of go back to her regular power level? That'll be interesting to see, but I really liked seeing that as well. It was just really cool, and again, finally having Lex and Kara fight was something that was a long time coming, and definitely something that paid off well. And while all that's going on, we had Alex and James going up against Ben Lockwood and the Agents of Liberty, or the Children of Liberty, and this was, you know, an alright fight. It was basically just there to get the Hironel out of Ben Lockwood, but also out of James at the same time, and that does eventually happen. So Ben and James are both now powerless. Ben, of course, is arrested by the end of the fight, and we do have him, you know, back in jail. So Ben is gone, but he also is no longer has his powers, but also neither does James. But Ben does actually take out James's eye, and now James has this eye patch looking all Slade Wilson. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand why the writers do these things to James, because he looks ridiculous. It looks stupid. I don't know why they're doing this, and it seems like the writers just hate James at this point. And I mean, James has always been, you know, a problematic character on the show. He's always been a bit of a strange one because they've never known what quite to do with him. And again, giving him this like purely cosmetic change is something that I don't think is really going to do much for the character. And again, it looks kind of ridiculous, so whatever. But, you know, it was a cool fight. I like seeing it, and there was some cool stuff with there. And again, it was kind of just the wrap up to Ben Lockwood's story, which, like I say, I feel like Ben Lockwood as a character has fallen apart in the past couple of episodes, especially in the back half overall. He's nowhere near as strong as he was in the first half due to the decisions they made with him. But it was still nice to have a little cap off to his story here. Now, this episode does actually end with a lot of different teasers going into Season 5, like The Flash did. So the first one is we had Lena, or not Lena, sorry. I forgot to write this down in my notes, and I've just reminded myself. Lena is potentially turning evil. Like, we see her actually find out that Kara is Supergirl. Like, Lex actually reveals it to her before Lex dies, and Lena actually kills Lex. Like, Lena pulls a gun on Lex and shoots him twice. But before she does that, he actually does reveal that Kara is Supergirl, and we do see Lena inside of her office basically crush a glass with her bare hands while looking at a picture of her and Kara. So it seems like Lena maybe is turning a bit more evil next season, which I think is something a lot of us have been waiting for. Still not sure how I feel about that yet, given the fact that, you know, Lena's whole character thing, like her whole point is that she's the Luthor who, you know, is a good person. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm sure Katie McGrath will sell it, and I think it'll be interesting just to at least dip our toes in that water just for a little bit at least next season. And then the other thing we have is we have Eve Tessmacher actually trying to flee the country. She's trying to get out, and she is meeting with this old woman who comes up and basically says, you know, you're not free, you can't leave. And, you know, she's saying, you know, I did everything I could. I teamed up with Lex. I've been behind all this stuff. But then this old woman basically starts talking about a thing called Leviathan, saying Leviathan have always been around. They're always looking. They're always everywhere, that kind of thing. Leviathan is everywhere. So what is Leviathan? Well, I will make a separate video about this over the next sort of week or so, talking about what is Leviathan, because there are a couple of different Leviathans within DC Comics, so I will talk about those two different options. But what I will say is there's one particular one that relates to the Legion of Superheroes, which I think is obviously a lot more relative to Supergirl than the other option that there is. So, you know, like I say, I'll do a full video on that, but if this is like a potential tease for our Season 5 villain of Leviathan, I think this was an interesting little setup. And then finally we have the Monitor show up. So the Monitor does actually show up in this finale, and he actually brings a guest with him. He brings in another Martian who ends up being Jean's brother. So again, I'm going to try and make another video on this as well. But yeah, so this is Jean Jones's brother, and he comes with the Monitor to Earth to get revenge on Jean. So we don't actually know exactly, you know, what he did to him. Obviously, we only know that, like, he wronged him in some way. That's what he says. That's what the Monitor says to him. So we don't exactly know why he wants to get revenge on him, what Jean did to him. Maybe it's, you know, misconstrued. Maybe there's like a, you know, misconception. But he's here for Jean now, and we have a new Martian. And again, this is potentially on... Maybe this is the big bad, maybe it is Leviathan, maybe it's this. We don't quite know yet, but it's interesting to have Jean there. The only thing I'm confused about with this, and again, I'll go into this more in depth in its own video, but is this character, given the fact that this character came to Earth with the Monitor, is this related to Crisis, or is this related to Supergirl Season 5? I'm not quite sure yet, because it's pretty interesting that he came with the Monitor. Like, he arrived with the Monitor, so I don't quite know if this is something to do with a setup for Crisis, or if this is a setup for Season 5 of Supergirl. I'm not too sure yet, but either way, still pretty cool that we're getting another Martian. And speaking of the Monitor, he has one final scene where he actually goes to see Lex, and he kind of hovers over his body, and he uses what basically is the time manipulation from Doctor Strange to what is essentially bringing Lex back to life. Now, we don't see him bring Lex back to life, but we can assume, put the pieces together, that is exactly what he's doing. And this basically means that Lex is probably going to be around for Crisis, which would make sense. In the comics, Lex Luthor was used in Crisis as a way to basically recruit supervillains to fight against the Anti-Monitor, so this could be what the Monitor is doing. He realizes that Lex is actually a pretty good ally and is going to get him to kind of work alongside him, similarly to what he's done with Oliver over on Arrow, so it's a very similar thing, and hopefully this does mean we'll see Lex, because I was really sad when Lex actually died in this episode, because I thought, oh, that feels like a bit of a waste of the character, because, you know, he's so good on this season. But this seems like there actually might not be the end of Lex Luthor, and we might actually see him more and more, not only in Crisis, but in Supergirl going forward, and I think that's something that everyone will enjoy. Overall, though, this was a strong end to what has ultimately been the best season of Supergirl. Obviously, I'll have my full season review out for Supergirl very soon, where I'll be discussing the whole season in depth. But like I say, this was a great ending to what has been, in my opinion, the best season of the show. It was such a great wrap up, you know, to Lex's story, to kind of everything going on. All the character arcs got paid off in this in particular. Even Alex got to end up with James's sister at the end of the episode as well, so they paid that off by the end. Kara seems to have some level of development by the end of the season, a little bit, which is something that she has desperately needed ever since the conception of the show. Brainy and Nia got there. Jean has kind of, you know, got a new tease going into next season. Leviathan's been set up. Like, there's just these really awesome ideas that have just been put to play here, and this also wrapped up all the amazing ideas that have been going on for the most of the season, and I think that this was a great wrap-up and a great finale to what has been a fantastic season of Supergirl. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It will help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. And with all that said, guys, hope to see you again in my next video.